Hey, this is Eric, and this is a recording of a training I did called The Future of Feedback, Guided Grading with AI Tools. Please note, this was recorded live at a conference with a room full of attendees, so it's a little more casual than many of my other videos with questions and conversations included, but I hope you still find the content valuable. This session is called The Future of Feedback, Guided Grading with AI Tools. As I mentioned just a moment ago, we do have a bit.ly link that will get you to the resources for this session, bit.ly/Kurtz-AI grading. That takes you to a document that looks like this. That document has everything in there that we're going to be exploring in the session. So this is a session on using artificial intelligence tools to assist you with grading. This is not a session about turning it over to the AI and just letting it do all the work for you, but having it be your assistant, coming alongside and helping you. And so we're going to look at a whole bunch of different options, different tools that maybe one of them, maybe several of them will click with you and be like, oh, I think I could use that. I think that could help me in my grading and feedback for my students. So that's the plan for the session. Certainly, I'm not covering every possible tool. I had to pick and choose, so I've chosen a few that I think are good options for this. All right. So again, bit.ly/Kurtz-AI grading will get you to the resource document. Feel free to pull that up or take note of that link if you need to get to it later. All right. Any questions, comments, needs before we get going? Everybody good? Awesome. Fantastic. And I will peek into our Q&A doc periodically to see if anything pops in there. All right. So here's our plan. I'm going to start off with a quick overview of the philosophy behind what we're doing. And then we're going to look at, if time permits, I'll do my best. I know I've bitten off a lot here. 5 tools, 5 options to help us with grading. All right. Let's see how far we get. So first of all, the overview. Many times when I talk about AI, I like to describe it as a personal assistant. Again, it's not replacing you. It's not something that is, doing all the work for you. It's like having your own TA, your own teaching assistant, your own personal assistant. And so these AI tools can come alongside of you and help support you in a lot of ways. One of those ways could be grading and feedback. And now, the idea behind this is we're not just going to say, hey, AI, grade my students' work for me. Instead, I'm using the term guided grading today. And what I mean by that is we're going to use AI to help, but we're not going to just turn it loose on it. We're going to give it content to help direct it in the process. That could mean we're going to give it a very detailed rubric and say, grade this, but here's my rubric I'm using. Or maybe we would give it examples of different quality work. Here's an essay that I would rate at a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. Maybe we give it that. Or maybe you give it examples of your own feedback. Maybe you have a Google Doc where here's the most common sort of comments I tend to give, so it can use your voice. It can understand how you normally respond. The point is, we're going to provide it these sort of supports and then say, now please give a grade for this or generate some feedback based upon what I've given you there. Now, as I've just said, I'll just reiterate again, the idea is that you still have your part of this. We're not just turning it entirely over to the AI. A lot of times we call this the 80-20 rule. Let AI do 80% of the work. That's fine. It can do a whole bunch, but you still have your 20. You've got to review. You've got to verify. You've got to edit what the AI generates. And you need to include your own personality, perspective, your knowledge of your students, so you have your piece of the pie. Don't just take it and just send it out to the kids. All right. A lot of positives that can come from this. Can save you time. It can help with consistency. When you're grading, out of 125 essays, when you're on essay 94, 95, maybe it's different than essay 2 or 3. It's hard to get a little tired there. So good to have that consistency, quicker feedback for our students, maybe data analysis of what is being graded. And also, we'll see this later, options for things that might be time prohibitive otherwise, like oral responses. That's hard to do time-wise. If you've got 125 kids and you want like a 2-minute oral response from each, that's 4 hours. How are you going to do that? Well, using AI, it can come alongside and make that more practical, and we'll see that. Now, again, there are considerations, there's possible concerns here. So make sure we're giving quality guidance to the AI. Watch out for potential bias in its responses. Maybe the AI is going to be better on objective things versus more subjective assignments, but you're going to have to see. And always be aware of data privacy. Do not put things into the AI that reveals, a student's name or things like, like their identified, their PII. Don't put in personally identifiable information about them. And this, I think, is one that is just always important to mention. There is the consideration, the concern that if you just let AI grade everything for you, you might lose some opportunities to learn about your students. Maybe while you're reading those essays, that's how you find out, oh, now I know my student better. So we're not saying don't, do that. You still need to read the essays and you still need to figure out how that works, but maybe the AI can just help save time by giving you a second set of eyes on that. All right. So with all of that as an intro, let's try it out. Let's see what we're going to do here. So I said 5 different approaches. The first approach we're going to take, and if you're following along in the agenda, this is all here in the agenda. We're now down on page 3, and we're just going to run through each of these as we go. The first approach is to use a large language model. Now, what I mean by that is something like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or Google Gemini or Anthropic's Claude. There's so many of these. That's just 4 quick examples, but there's loads of these out there. And we can just go to an AI chatbot and basically say, here is my student's work. Here is some guidance on how I would like you to grade it. Please grade this. So for my example, I'm going to use ChatGPT. Now, why am I using ChatGPT? The big reason is it is in my opinion, the most powerful at the moment, the most powerful of these large language models. And it has the ability to let you upload files for free. That's part of the free version. You don't have to pay for that. That is included in the free version there. So if you're using ChatGPT, the most recent version is 4.0. The O stands for Omni, meaning it can process text, images, audio, PDFs, all kinds of stuff. That is free. You do not have to pay for ChatGPT 4.0. That is the free version. And it includes the ability to upload files. So I love that because that means I could have something like a rubric. So let's say I have this rubric here that I'm going to use for a persuasive essay. So here's my rubric. I could download that as a PDF or whatever format, and I could upload it into ChatGPT. I wouldn't have to I could copy and paste it, sure, but I could just upload it. I could say, let's grab it from my drive or upload it from my computer. And I could say now, based upon this rubric, now I want you to evaluate this student's work. Now, again, if I had the student's work in my drive, I could just add it from my drive, or I could upload it if I've got it as a separate file, or I could copy and paste it in. Today, I think I'm just going to do the whole upload approach. So let's say I come in here to ChatGPT, I click the little paperclip, and I say, let's upload from my computer my rubric. So this is my 8th grade persuasive writing assignment rubric. So let's upload the rubric. And then I'll even upload one of my students' files. I've got 4, these are not real students, obviously. I've got 4 samples here. Student 1 is not going to score really well. You can tell real quick just by all the red and blue squigglies. This one's not going to turn out real well on this, but I could come here and upload that as well. Here is student number 1. And so basically I've given it a rubric, and I've given it the student's work. And I'm just going to copy this, this prompt. And so the prompt is just using the rubric uploaded, grade this 8th grade persuasive writing assignment. Additionally, provide suggestions for improvement written directly to the student in a friendly and helpful tone. So that's the prompt I'm using. There's nothing magic about it. You don't have to use my prompt. You can use any prompt, but that's the idea. I'm saying using the rubric, grade this assignment, and also please provide some feedback for the student. Okay, so let me do that. Let me copy and paste that prompt in, and let's try it out. So here we are, gonna drop that in there. So I've uploaded the rubric, I've uploaded the student's work, and I've asked it to please grade it. So Let's see how it does. So basically, it has read the rubric and it has read the student's work, and now it's grading it. So it's saying, okay, thesis statement a 2, argument development a 2, evidence a 1, organization a 2, language and style a 2, grammar mechanics a 2. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm kind of not surprised. That's what it's getting here on this, and so that's the score, and then the suggestions for improvement. Great job. You've raised some interesting points. Here are some suggestions to help you. So how to work on your thesis statement. We don't have enough evidence. Got to work on some of these, spelling, errors here. And so now, would I just take that, copy, paste it, and give it to my students? No, I'm not saying to do that, but I'm saying now we have a place to begin. It could be that I've graded it and I just want a second set of eyes. I just be like, again, I'm on student 110. I want to make sure that what I think, at least I'm not way far off. Maybe I'm just using it as a comparison to see how the AI would grade. Then again, maybe not. Maybe I am pulling from this. Like, yeah, these are really good feedback. I'm going to copy paste this and I'm going to tweak it. I'll throw in some of my own, personality into it, but that might be excellent feedback for my student. So that is our first example out of 5, and that is basically just using a classic large language model. Question?
Now, if you're uploading something from their papers, you can't have their name on it, correct?
Right. So I'm just going to put it out there like this. Always check with your school. Always check with your school about how much information is too much information. So if it was a situation where they said, oh, this is fine, you can upload the rubric, but when it comes to the actual document, don't include their name. So what would I do in a case like that? So I might just copy paste it in a case like that. So I might come in and I might say, let's upload the rubric. But then what I would do is I would grab my prompt here, copy my prompt. Oh, you can do it. I believe in you. Every now and then I think I'm having a little bit of Wi-Fi issue every now and then. I think it just kind of hollers at me when I do that. So I could put this in, but I could just give a little space here. I could come over here, grab this without their name. Now, I know their name wasn't, this is fake. There's no names on any of these, but I could come in and just copy the part that doesn't have their name, copy it, and then I could paste that in. I don't have to upload the actual file itself. And now it's still going to do a fine job of reading through all of that and comparing it against that and generating the response there as well. So appreciate, yeah. And that's why we mentioned that in the considerations. Data privacy is important. Always check with your school about what is acceptable and what is not. Also be aware, different AI tools provide different amounts of data privacy themselves. So like Google Gemini, if you're using Gemini, if you're using a school account, it has built-in data protection. No humans ever see the information. It does not keep a copy of it. It does not use it for training. And so it goes an extra step to protect student information. So that also makes a difference. All right. Well, that's just one tool. We want to look at a couple of others. And so let's do this. Let's compare this to NotebookLM. So NotebookLM is from Google. It actually uses Gemini. So this is using Gemini. This is using Gemini inside of it. NotebookLM is a free tool from Google that also lets you upload files and ask questions about them. So I'm going to pop over to NotebookLM. I have created in NotebookLM, I created a persuasive essay grader notebook. And so basically what I have in this notebook is the ability to upload files. I can upload PDFs, text files, things from my drive. I can copy text, whatever. I've uploaded the 8th grade persuasive writing rubric. What I can do then is I can then upload files that have my student work, and I can ask the AI inside of NotebookLM to look at this rubric and grade that particular assignment. Now, I've already uploaded these ahead of time, but you could just click the plus button and upload them just like we did. So let's say I only want to grade student 1. Well, I wouldn't select the others. I would just select the rubric and I would select student 1. So now it's only going to look at those 2 files. It's not going to consider anything else. Now keep in mind, it doesn't have to be just a rubric. You could upload exemplars. You could upload sample feedback that you like to give. You can select all of that. That's fine. But I could pretty much use this same prompt. I'll just give it the first part of it here. I'll just keep this simple. And I could say something like, let me find NotebookLM. There we go. I could say, using the rubric, grade this 8th grade writing assignment. And so now I've checked the rubric. I've checked the student. So it's going to use that rubric. It's going to look at that student, and it is going to now provide a grade once it processes through all of that. Looks like it's still thinking on that. I believe in you, NotebookLM. There it is. And there we go. And so, we've got a 2, a 2, a 1, a 2, a 1, a 1. So a little bit lower on that than the other one. But again, that's also good too. There's something to be said for using multiple AI tools and getting different perspectives on those. But just wanted to show that as another example. Still the same general idea. We're using an AI tool, we're providing it with a rubric and the student's work, and we're getting feedback from there. All right, please. That is free. NotebookLM there's not even an option to pay for it. You can't even pay for it if you want to. It's just a free tool. Yeah. Everything I'm showing you today is free. Do these tools have paid options? Many of them do, like ChatGPT. You can do what I just did absolutely free. 4.0 is the free version, and uploading is included in that. So anybody can do that. Yes, you can pay for ChatGPT and get other options as well beyond that. The big thing typically is how many chats you can have in a day. That's where you kind of sometimes run into a limit, but no, everything I'm showing is free. Many of these tools do have paid options. So thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. Anything else before we move on? Because we're going to now take a look at some more specific tools that aren't as general, because basically ChatGPT and NotebookLM, these are more general tools that I'm using for grading. They're not designed for grading. I mean, ChatGPT is not meant to grade, but it's meant to do anything. I could write a poem with this. I could, get a, whatever. You get the idea. Same thing with NotebookLM. It's not designed for grading. It's really anything. You can put any files in there and ask questions about them. The next few tools, though, yes, these are now designed for grading. And so we're going to kind of switch a little bit of our focus. Before we do that, let's just pause. Questions on anything to do with large language models, ChatGPT, or things like NotebookLM before we move on? Yes?
Would you call NotebookLM a source-grounded AI, since it's only going to act upon the documents you provide?
So it is acting upon the documents you provide, but it is pulling from all that Gemini has. So it is Google Gemini. It is the Google Gemini large language model. That is what is powering it. So if you were to go out to gemini.google.com and have the same conversations, so it is a large language model in the background. It just has the added benefit of you being able to say, I want you to respond with this in mind, using this rubric, using my sample feedback, using these exemplars, whatever you want to provide. But it is still pulling from all of what Gemini knows. Yeah. Anything else before we move on? Good stuff.
I figured out what my issue was with that notebook, is that I'm assuming our district has that turned off.
It's possible. Yeah. And again, I should say, again, thanks for this. I should always say this. Always, yeah, check with your tech folks. Any tool we're looking at here could be turned on, could be turned off, could be blocked, could be filtered. So it is possible with any of these tools, you may need to talk to your school. And absolutely, you should. Every school should have a process they go through to evaluate tools. And I'm sharing tools that I feel confident in, but that does not replace the due diligence your school needs to do for any tools that you guys want to approve. So, all right. No worries. All right, let's keep going. So the next couple of tools are not that general. These are specifically for grading. They are all specifically for grading, and they're very different. The next three, they're completely different from each other. That's why I picked them, because I don't want to just show you things that do the exact same thing. The first one we're going to look at is called EnlightenAI. Now, again, I know we're going to move quickly through this. We're going to spend, 5, 6, 7 minutes on each, and we got to keep moving. We're not going to spend a lot of time on them, but notice that if you go down to, for example, EnlightenAI in the resource document, there's the link to it, but here's a blog post I did about it. Here's a demo video I did on it. So there's resources here that you can rely on afterwards. If you're like, okay, I need to see that again. Well, you're not on your own. All of that stuff is here. So let's go ahead and let's start with what EnlightenAI is. So this is an AI grading tool that the students will not see. They don't interact with the AI here. You are doing the interaction with the AI here. And basically the way it works is you're going to pull in your students' work, and it can pull things from Classroom, but it doesn't have to be Google Classroom. The students can just submit their work, through the EnlightenAI site. You can give them a code, a class code, and they can submit their work there. But that's it. They don't actually interact with the AI other than submitting their work. They don't do anything else. What happens is you create an assignment, you set up a rubric, you start grading the student's work yourself. Now you're saying, I don't hear a lot of AI here, Eric. You're making an assignment, you're making a rubric, you're grading, sure, but here's the thing. The AI is watching you while you do it, and it starts learning from you. So after you grade 1, 2, 3, 4 students, it starts building a model of how you grade. And then it starts offering grading suggestions for you based upon how you grade. It starts offering feedback based upon the feedback you type. So basically, you're making an AI version of yourself. You're building an AI version of how you grade, and then you can use it to give very personalized feedback and give you a grade on the rubric that you can look at and say, oh yeah, that looks good. That's how I grade, or you can tweak it. So let's try it out. For this one, I am going to have to pop over to a different screen just because I have my EnlightenAI account on a different account. But let me just show you real quick how it works. So let's say I have an assignment here called the Stanford Prison Experiment. The students need to write a response to a question about the Stanford Prison Experiment. And if I go into that assignment, you'll see, oh, I got signed out. I waited too long. Let's sign back in. There we go. So if I go into that assignment, you'll see I've got 5 pretend students. Now, again, this is not going to be all that impressive, because if I had 125, that would be really cool, but it'll be enough. It'll be enough to show you the idea. So here's my students, and they have submitted their work. And again, this can come from Google Classroom, or they can submit it through a link you give them. Either way is fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a rubric. So I'm going to say, let's pick a rubric to grade this. And for this example, I'm keeping it really simple. I'm just going to use a claim evidence reasoning rubric, but it doesn't have to be. It can be multi-category, multi-tier, the whole thing. This can be as big of a rubric as you want it to be. This is a very simple one, just a claim evidence reasoning rubric, but I'm going to use that rubric for this. And now I'm going to click Start Grading. Now here's what's happening. As I go to grade, the AI is going to try to grade for me. It will try. It's going to read. So here is my first student's response. This is student number 1. So here's their response. The AI is trying to grade it. It's saying, I would give the claim a 5, evidence a 4, reasoning a 5, and this is the feedback I'd provide. Now, maybe that's good, but look at the bottom. It says AI is currently 0% trained. That means that's just its opinion. It knows nothing of me. So what you do with this tool is you override the AI suggestions for the first 3, 4, 5 students, and it starts learning you. So let's do that. So basically, I'm going to take out the feedback it provided, and I'm going to put my own in. I'm going to put in my own feedback just for the first few. Now, I have to save time. I've already typed these up on another screen. So I would normally be doing this myself, live, but there's not enough time for that. So I'm just going to, this is my feedback. So this is the feedback I would give. And on this particular one, I actually thought it was a 5, 4, 4. So pretty close. I would have put that at a 4. So I'm going to override the AI suggestion for the first few. And I'm going to click save and continue. So that's my feedback, my grade, save and continue. And now it's going to look at student number 2. It's going to come up again with feedback and grading. And look what it says. AI is 20% trained. So it knows me a little better. Probably not enough yet to really mimic me. So once again, I think I'll go in and I'll still manually do this one. So for that one, that would be, let me find the right one. That's this one here. Here's my feedback on that. Let me put in my feedback. And what did I think the grade should be on that one? I thought a 5.33 was appropriate. Pretty close, not too far off. And again, I'll hit save and continue. Now you get what's happening here. Every time I do this, now it's 40% trained. Little by little, it's going to start mimicking my style of writing and the way that I assess things. So here's our next student. Let's see this one. Not too great. A 211 is what I thought for this one. So, hey, we agreed. How about that? We agreed. And once again, I will still put in my own feedback just to help it. Now, at that point, we might be close enough now. This may be good enough. We're up to 60%, but you can do this as much as you want. Out of 125 students, seriously, after 5 students, it should be 100% trained. It should really know you. So then what starts happening is you go, huh, that looks good. Yep, that sounds like me. And you just hit save and continue, or you make a little tweak. You go, actually the last 10 were really good, but this one, I would actually slide this over here or there. Or you know what? I wouldn't quite say it that way, and you can go in and still personalize it. But the point is, little by little by little. Now you're still reading. You're not losing out on knowing what your students wrote. You're still reading their work. You're still understanding them. But you've got a TA, you've got a teaching assistant that's mimicking you that can help maybe save a ton of time. When it's all done, then you would, I won't have time to finish them all up, but you would finish them all up, and then you would send out the grades or the responses to the students. What that looks like, I can show you in the blog post near the bottom. I've got a little picture that shows what that looks like when you send it out. There we go. So you can do a bulk email send where it sends out an email and says, hey, here's your feedback. If you're using Google Classroom, you can just hit send announcements, and it sends a private message to each student and gives them their grades there. So that is EnlightenAI, which is a clever way to be able to train an AI to mimic you and hopefully save you loads of time and give you a second set of eyes. Questions, comments, thoughts on EnlightenAI? Yeah. Sure. So it connects to Google Classroom, and it pulls the assignments from Google Classroom. I don't remember if it actually pushes the grades back or if it just sends them the message that they've been graded. My recollection was that it doesn't write back to Classroom, it just pulls from Classroom. So I think it is still up to you to then put the grades in there, I think. Poke a stick at it and check. Things may have changed, but from the last time I did it, I think I remember that being the case, but I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. So we'll have to poke a stick at that one and see. I know it does send them a message, a private message, though, in Classroom. So it can send things to Classroom. Maybe it does. Apologies. I don't remember if it did that or not when I was testing it out with my demos. All right, let's contrast that to another one. So again, we're looking at some AI tools that might be able to help you with grading. The next one is called Class Companion. Very different than EnlightenAI. This is one that students are going to be interfacing with. So out of all of them, these next two are ones you would, again, have to talk to your school about. What's okay, what's acceptable, what's not, what are the students allowed to use. The next two tools, yes, students do interact with the AI in these. So these are going to be tools that provide AI grading on student work, but they can give the feedback directly to the student if you so choose. Now, Class Companion does focus mostly on writing. The next tool is not writing specific. So if you're saying, Eric, I don't do a lot of writing in my class, that's okay. Hang tight. We've got another one coming up. This one definitely is more writing specific. So how does Class Companion work? So basically what you do, and I'll pop over to my Class Companion, what you do is you create a class in here and you give the students a code and they join and all that kind of stuff like you normally do with these sort of services. And then what you do is you create an assignment. So I did create one here. This one, let me go into my assignment here. I decided to do an essay about school start time. And so my prompt is something like, why should school start later in the day for middle school students? So it's a persuasive writing. They have to explain why they think that's the case. Why should the school day start later? So this is, you can do short answer, essay, outline, multiple choice. I'm going to do this as an essay. So that's the name of the assignment. You can do all sorts of other things, units, topics, whatever. You don't have to, though. I did attach our rubric, the exact same rubric we looked at earlier. So this one here, I basically built that rubric inside of Class Companion. So that exact rubric has been put in there. And I can use it over and over and over and over again. Once I've done it once, I can just reuse it. All right. So basically, that's the assignment. I want you to explain, why the school day should start later for middle school students. Here's where things get interesting. Maximum attempts. This is where the AI really comes in. If it was just, hey, students type in and they submit it, the AI helps grade it, that's great. That's it's still time saving and all that. This, though, is neat. If you say, I don't want to just give them one attempt, I want to give them 2 or 3 attempts, what's going to happen is the AI is going to give them the feedback right away, and then they have the option to fix what they wrote. So this is not just a one and done kind of thing. If you're trying to get students to revise before they submit something, this is a great one, because basically they're going to come here, they're going to type their first draft, hit submit. The AI is going to grade it and say, here's some things you might want to work on. Well, if they've got 2 attempts, they can now retype it, change things, submit it again. It'll regrade it for them until they run out of options to submit. And then they'll say, that's it, you're not allowed to submit anymore. So I love this, having that extra step between the student writing and it coming directly to you. So, and also I should say this. This is so amazing. I'm using the typed version. You can actually do handwritten submission instead. You go, what? Yeah, you can have the students handwrite, take their phone, take a picture of what they wrote, and it'll ask them to submit the image of it. It will do OCR, optical character recognition. It'll pull their handwriting into text, and then it'll grade that. I mean, it's amazing. So if you want them to handwrite, they can do that as well. Anyway, we're not going to. I'm just going to do the typed version. So with that said, let's try this as a student. So here is my pretend student over here. And I'm going to go into my class. And I'm going to go into school start time. And there we go. Why should school start later in the day? Now, I'm going to use that really bad one that we started with here earlier. Let's grab student number 1. This was the one that was not so good. And let's put that in as our response. And let's submit it. Now, it's going to analyze that. And yeah, not real good. A 0, a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1. Yeah, not real good. And so now the student could read all of the feedback over here and be like, okay, yeah, I see what I need to do. And so now it's getting personalized feedback. And now they would go over here and they would edit and resubmit. So let's do this. Let me pick a little better version. Let's bump up to student 3. Student 3 is a little bit better than that one. Actually, quite a lot better. But let's come in and let's say that we're going to we'll take out what we wrote. Oh, maybe it's just going to let me edit essay. Sorry, edit essay. There we go. And now I can take out that and I can put in that and we'll resubmit this now. And hopefully that's a big jump up over this last one here. Now, here's another cool thing, and I'll show you in just a second. If you want the student to actually type in rather than copy paste, make sure you let them know that. Like if you're saying, oh, you can work on it in Google Docs and then copy and paste it over, make sure you let them know that, because it also monitors pasting. As a teacher, when I look at this, it'll tell me, did they type it or did they paste it in there? So if you're saying, no, I need you to type this live, because I'm worried you're going to use AI to write something for you, and then you're going to copy and paste it over. You let them know that, because it will monitor, was it typed live or was it pasted? Now, much better. Okay, we're up to a 13 out of 18. Oh, look, yeah, we did way better this time. And so now I can't edit it anymore. I've run out of attempts, so I can't edit it anymore. But as a teacher now, if I come in here, I should see, oops, go back to my assignments. I should see school start time. Let's, where is my grades? Oh, there's submissions. Sorry, they're up here, submissions. Sorry about that. Let me get back to the right tab here. There we go, submissions. So here is the school start time. Here is student 1. I can now go in and take a look at their assignment. And what I'll see is, here is what they, submitted. And here is the grade on that. And then if I want to go back and see their earlier submission over here, I can see they started with a 5 out of 18. And so I can even read the earlier version and see how that updated between the two. So that's one where, if you want, students are now actually getting immediate feedback that's letting them do revisions on that. Now, we got one more tool we're going to look at that's different than that, but let's pause there. We got about, we're still good. We got a little bit of time. Yeah.
Will that save their work on there?
Yeah. It's all kept. All the work is saved here, as far as, the record of it. So you can come back to it anytime that you need. Yeah. What does it look like for the student? Well, they're not going to be able to edit it after they've done that. But if I go back and say, so here I am as a student, there's no new assignments available to me, but here's the record of what I completed. So I could go back in, I could reopen it, and I could always see the feedback that I was provided. I can't change it anymore at this point because I've run. Oh, can I grab it? Sure.
So they could copy paste it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, question in the back. Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned if a kid used AI and copied and pasted that in, will these at any point recognize that or suggest that a student has used AI like that yet?
Maybe this doesn't. That's a good question. So I believe, remember all the sessions I'm doing. I think tomorrow, one of my sessions, my first session tomorrow is about addressing AI misuse. So we'll talk about cheating and stuff. That's a deep dive into that. That's one that, that's nice. Some of the tools are starting to build in like some AI checkers. The thing is, unfortunately, and we'll talk about this in way more depth in that session tomorrow, a lot of them aren't very accurate. There's a lot of wiggle room when it comes to AI detectors. They are especially not good with English language learners. If somebody is writing in a language that's not their primary language, it will more often say it's AI when it's not. They're also not good for students on the autism spectrum. It'll say this was AI written when it wasn't. And also there's just a lot of easy ways to fool them. So the thing is, I know we want the magic bullet, like, oh, I just want this button that tells me, did AI write this? And yeah, it's nice to have those tools as a data point, but they really can only be a data point. They can't be the full thing. You're going to need to have other things to help support, was this copied and pasted or not? So we'll talk more about that in that one tomorrow. But to answer your question real short, no, this one does not. And EnlightenAI, the one we just looked at also, neither of those, they don't have, and maybe they will though. Maybe it's someday they'll also have another button that says, oh, and by the way, this one got flagged because it just has the high probability of being AI generated. So that might happen. Well, let's hit our final one because it's just so different than the others. This is Snorkl. I love Snorkl. I think Snorkl is such a neat tool. So let's talk about this. Snorkl is an AI grading tool for oral responses. Remember, I said way at the beginning we would get to this. I said we would talk about oral responses. Here's the idea. Instead of having students write, what if we had them speak their answers? There's a lot of reasons that's a good thing. So if I'm having a student speak their answer, it helps address cheating, like to a degree. They're not just copying and pasting, they're talking, they're explaining something in their own words. And so can they do that well? Can they explain something in their own words? Plus, it kind of helps you really get an insight into what they do and don't understand. If you're solving a math problem and you're explaining it, well, if you don't understand how to do something in the math problem while you're walking through the explanation, you're going to pick that up. If all you get is a written math problem, it may be harder to be like, well, why did they do that? Because you're not hearing the thought process behind it. So Snorkl is, again, a free tool where you create an assignment, the students go in, they click a record button, and they literally record themselves answering your question. Now, it doesn't have to be math. It can be anything, science, social studies, language arts, any question is fine, but it does give them a whiteboard if they want to use, and they can draw on the whiteboard. They can work out their math. They can draw a diagram for science, whatever, they can. They don't have to. And then what it does is it takes their voice, it transcribes it into text, and it compares their response to the exemplar you've set up. And if they did draw on the whiteboard, it takes that, and it also uses the AI vision capability to extract the content from what they wrote on the whiteboard, and it adds that in as well. Now, again, like I said, let's say you have 125 kids. Well, again, if you just wanted them to take 2 minutes to answer something orally, yeah, that's 4 hours. That's a lot of time to listen to, recorded videos. So we probably don't do oral responses as often because of that. Well, let's look at Snorkl and see how that can be done. So I've got my Snorkl page over here. So this is my Snorkl account. And inside of there, here's my class I've set up. And I'm going to do a math example just because we've done everything but math today. And so beware, you can use anything with this. I'm just going to do math just to show that it can be done as well. So here is a problem about a rectangular frame. And basically what I did, created this, this problem. I went in here and I basically set up this problem. These folks are making a frame for art. It's a quadrilateral. We know the perimeter is 146. The length is 29. What's the width? A classic math question there. So it's a perimeter problem. So that's the problem that I set up for them. I then told it what subject area it is. So that helps the AI know, am I grading a science question? Is this language arts, social studies, world languages? What am I grading? I told it it's math. And I also told it the level. I said, this is elementary, but you could pick the level that's appropriate there. Now I'm telling the AI to go ahead and give the feedback right away. You don't have to. You could have the students do this and say, actually, we're not going to have the AI talk to the student. They're just going to use this to, submit their answer, and they're not going to hear from the AI. Then you are the one who gets to see all the AI feedback, not the student. Or you could just say, yeah, auto approve. If whatever the AI has to say, go ahead and give that to the students right there. And then I gave an expected answer. And you can make this as complicated, as big as you want. Basically, I'm saying this is what I'm expecting to get from this. So let's try it out. Let's be a student. So here I am as a student. I go into my class. I click on rectangular frame. And now I need to record my response. So let's try it out. Give it a moment here to pull it up. I'm going to hit record my screen. And I'll give permission. All right, so to solve this problem, I need a quadrilateral. So I am going to draw a quadrilateral four-sided figure. And I'm told that one side, the length is 29. So I know that's 29, which means the other side down here is also 29. And then I know that the entire perimeter is 146. So if I take these two 29s together, so 29 and 29, basically just doubling that times 2. So that's going to give me 58 from those. And I know I've got 146 for the entire perimeter. Whoops, 146. I would subtract that 58 from that to see what's left over. So in that case, I'm going to get, an 8. That's going to be a 3. So that's 13. So 5 from 13 is another 8 here. So I've got 88 left over. So I've basically got 88 centimeters left for the other two sides. Well, they're going to be the same. So I would take the 88 and I would divide that by 2 because it's two sides. And so I should have 44. So that should be my answer. It should be a 44 centimeter. What are we looking for? The width. So yes, that should be 44. I know my picture doesn't scale to that, but that that's the math behind it. So that's my answer, 44 centimeters for the width. All right. And of course, I could play it back and listen to it if I wanted to play it back. All right. So, and I'll just submit that. And that's it. The AI is now going to take everything I said, transcribe it, take that text, and then compare that to the exemplar I set up and provide a grade. Now, because that will take a little bit of time, I'm going to pop back over to being a teacher and show you some of the other ones that I did. Some of these I did, some other people have done. But for example, here's one which was done, we'll just pull this one up here. Oh, come on, bring it up. There it is. So this is one that got it correct, very similar. It's me doing it. This is my recording as well. But notice how it grades. It grades two things. Is it correct or not? And how well did you explain yourself? So you get 2 grades. So this one is correct and a 4 out of 4. Really excellent explanation. And it gives you feedback all throughout that. Now, how about another one where they got the right answer, but a terrible explanation? So this one, I just said, the answer is 44. Well, yeah, it's correct, but it's a 0 out of 4. There's no explanation there. Or how about one where they got it incorrect? Down here, these are the students that didn't get it right. Well, here's one where we didn't get it right is because of a subtraction error. We made a subtraction error right here that threw it off. Well, in that case, it's incorrect, but it's a 2 out of 4 on explanation. They do understand stuff. There was just a subtraction mistake in there. So this allows me as a teacher to be like, okay, out of my 125 students, all of these got it correct. Good. Let's see who's struggling. Now I can go in and watch just those videos and I can see who is struggling and why they're struggling. I can also come up here to the Insights tab, which will basically show me big picture insights. Like, here are the students who are really understanding things. Here are the most common errors that we've been running into here. So I can see what my students have been struggling with. So awesome tool, Snorkl, if you want to try to leverage more oral responses in your assignments to be able to use that. All right. We are getting really close to the end of our time. So we're going to take a little bit of time for questions and comments. So let's do this. Let's peek into our Q&A doc. I don't see any questions in there, so that's fine. No worries at all. Let's throw it back out to you guys. So basically, we have looked at a number of tools here. We have looked at large language models in general, like ChatGPT. We've looked at NotebookLM, EnlightenAI, Class Companion, and Snorkl. All different tools, all different ways to come alongside and assist you with grading. Questions, comments, thoughts? Let's take a moment. Sure. So with Snorkl, I don't know if they're going to at some point, integrate with, Classroom and other things like that. Right now, basically, you go to the site, you sign up for an account, and then what you do is you provide students a link. So you can put that link in Classroom. You could put the link in Classroom. They do need to click the link once and join your Snorkl class, but that's it. After that, anytime they click the link in Classroom, the assignments will show up in Snorkl. They're going to do the work in Snorkl. It won't be in Classroom, but the link could be right there that gets them back to it if they forget. Where do I go? It's right there on our classwork page. Click it. That'll take you right to the new assignment or something like that. Yeah. Any other questions, comments on guided grading with AI tools? Absolutely agree. I love the fact that Class Companion does, yeah, it encourages revision, where a lot of these others, they're just grading. That's it. You turned it in, that's your final version. Okay, we're just grading you. Class Companion isn't just grading, it's about feedback. It's about being able to give them suggestions for how to improve it, let them iterate. And so that's really very useful. Now, of course, you could do that with other ones. You could have ChatGPT grade them, give them feedback, and then say, I now want you to resubmit to me. I want you to rewrite this, but now you've got that gap in between where Class Companion, they can do it right on the spot then and there. Well, folks, as we start to wrap up, as a reminder, everything we looked at is at bit.ly/Kurtz-AI grading. That'll get you to the document that has all those resources, as well as all of my contact info and my other resources there. And for all my other resources, check out my blog at controlaltachieve.com. And to connect with me, go to bit.ly/CAA-connect, where you'll find all of my social media links, email, newsletter, and more.